Hi, I am Rachel McLeod, and I'm a licensed clinical social worker and emotional wellness coach. And today I want to talk to you about how to really have control and to have true control, the kind I like, when symptoms of anxiety, depression, and or traumatic stress make you feel like you're losing control. And I want to talk about all three of these things because they all result from the same brain malfunction. Or misfunction, or um, the same process. And that's why I talk about all three of them, even though they present very differently, they're very similar. And well, they have the same root. And there was something else. Oh, yeah. And I think it's important because if you have anxiety, you are likely to have also symptoms of depression and or traumatic stress. Sometimes people have all three. And it's important to know how to work with the brain so that you can resolve these issues and really take charge of what's going on. Um, because you do get to participate. I mean, it doesn't feel like that when you're having symptoms. It feels like you're getting pushed out of the way and like shoved and like into the back somewhere. And your brain is like into your symptoms of anxiety, depression, traumatic stress are just driving your bus, and that's really frustrating. And and that feeling that you're losing control can escalate very quickly into a panic attack. So it's really great to be able to do this because let me tell you, on the other side of a whole anxiety, depression, traumatic stress disorder, um, is a healthy life that brains still do anxiety, depression, and traumatic stress flares because of this brain process. It's just that when your brain is running in a healthy way, it will eventually resolve those symptoms and you'll move on. When you have a disorder, it's not that process that resolves those is malfunctioning, is broken down. Um, Not working, stuffed up, gunked up, whatever it is that happens in there, and that process really needs to be cleaned out, and your brain needs to be walked through its own healing process, and so that it will eliminate those symptoms again, but either way, the strategy I'm going to talk about will help if you have a whole disorder, or if you have some symptoms here and there, or if you just have occasional flares. And as long as you have a brain that does functions, and this particular function, it can get a little wonky. So that's really why I wanted to do this because it really can feel like you're out of control. And that's not where I want you to be. I want you to feel like you're in the driver's seat of your life and that you can work with your brain and that you can um, be a great teammate, a great support, and really understand what's going on in there so that you can participate and you can show up for your life and not be kicked to the side. Having said that, let's dive in and let me tell you what this looks like. Okay, hold on. I'm going to rewind. Um, nope, I'm not. Just like that fast, because we're talking about control. I usually talk about eliminating symptoms. This will also help you eliminate symptoms, but we're here for the purpose of control. And so I want to really work this down in slow motion because um, when brains are doing this, it's happening at lightning speed because brains are electrical, and the part of the process that creates thoughts, feelings, emotions is electrical. It is chemical. They know that, right? But it is also very electrical, and so it can happen really fast. Um, the first thing that I'm going to tell you to do is we want to work with the right parts of the brain. So, if you want to have control of their symptoms and how you're participating in them, you really want to work well with your survival system. That is the part of the brain that really helps create symptoms of anxiety, depression, traumatic stress, and it's the part of the brain that stops the healing process. So, if you want to know who's sitting there with their elbow on the healing process, it's your survival system. And so, really, that's the one you want to work with because it will prevent everything from happening. And this is the one that, in most therapeutic interventions, is the least worked with part of the brain. And that's why we're not getting great symptom elimination. That's why we don't even believe we can get symptom elimination. That's why we keep passing out all these pills, which I'm not against, but with the idea that you just need to take medication for the rest of your life. Not really true in most situations that I found. So because brains heal. And if you have symptoms and you need support, you need medication support, by all means, please do. But if you don't have symptoms anymore because your brain did their thing with the symptoms and resolved those, and you're no longer having panic attacks, and you're no longer having racing thoughts that are debilitating, and you're no longer uncomfortable in your own brain and being hammered every day, then it's time to start looking at not having to take the medication. And that's not very common in this yet. It's coming. And there's a lot of research that's starting to show that proper treatment is much better and more effective than medications and talking and all these things. So, like I was saying, the whole point of that is we want to work with the survival system directly. And what I found is there are 4 tools that I like to teach people and that I rely on heavily to do this work. Some people will just, sometimes I just use 1 or 2 with different people because I like to match these interventions with people's brains and make sure that they're getting results with them. Because a brain that likes this one won't necessarily like this one or that one or vice versa. So I really like to make sure that's there. So the interventions I use and would recommend are emotional freedom techniques, thought field therapy, energy medicine, and EMDR. So those are the ones that I teach people. I teach my clients to use very effectively, and we roll up our sleeves, and it's time to get busy. If you do not have a tool that works with the survival system, this probably isn't going to work for you. So this strategy is based on using these tools, and this strategy can resolve a root issue in about 30 minutes to an hour. So, and if you can resolve the root, you resolve all of the symptoms that are associated with the root. So you can very quickly get rid of many symptoms just by resolving one root. And that's what this strategy is all about. But I want you to be able to have control while you do it. So here we go. You're starting with the intervention. That's step 1. I'm just step this out. Why not? Then what happens is the next thing you want to do is you want to look behind the symptom. Symptoms hit you. Sometimes they sneak up on you. Sometimes they just happen so fast and you're in it. And the first thing you want to do is you want to be able to you're using your intervention. You're going straight to your intervention. Then as you're working with that survival system with the intervention, and your whole system will start to regulate and you will start to calm. And there will come a point where you can start not just being hammered and be like this, but pretty soon you'll be able to start looking around like, what is behind this symptom? And once you get there, you're on a whole nother dimension with this symptom. You are like half the healing is done. And so when you make that step and you're behind the symptom, you use your intervention more. And whether you're using emotional freedom techniques and you're tapping on your meridian points, or you're doing some EMDR in the moments, I'm not going to model that. And you can do them in the EMDR anytime. As a matter of fact, many people are already doing EMDR and don't know they're doing EMDR. But so you're going to use your intervention when you get behind this. Now, once you're behind the front value of this, the face value of the symptom, you've looked around it. Now you're back here now, and you're using your intervention. So you're kind of, things are slowing down. You're feeling more regulated, and now you can move into the part of the brain where, well, we're going to rewind that. Now I want you to get curious, and that curiosity will move you into a different part of the brain. And once you're there, I want you to be curious and ask some questions. Why is this here? What's happening? What's so bad about this? Why so much survival distress? And you're using your intervention while you do that. And when you get back here, this is funny. I didn't plan on this. But okay, you're going to look behind the symptom, right? And you get back here and you're using your intervention, you're coming into your nervous system is regulating because your brain is going through its healing process. And you start asking questions. And you will notice while you're back here, your subconscious mind will pull right up beside you and be like, oh, let me tell you. If you say, what's so bad about this? Your subconscious mind will say, ooh, I'll tell you. And it will start telling you all these things. And then your survival system will start interacting too, because it'll be hearing this stuff and it'll say, resistance or defensiveness, and you're going to use your intervention the whole time. Because if your survival system decides it doesn't like what the subconscious mind is saying, it will throw a whole fit and it will put that elbow right back down on the whole healing process. So you're going to be using your intervention to keep that part of the brain calm and engaged in the healing process to let the healing happen. Okay. Because if you do not use an intervention here, you will lose control because the survival center is fast and it will take the reins of control right away from you because that's its job. Once it goes into survival mode, it doesn't need or want anyone else's opinion, and it will do whatever it takes to keep you alive or out of threat. And it's not a reasoning center or a thinking center, so or logic, so you get whatever it tells you to do. So it could be a very illogical reaction. So we want to play nice with your survival system, make sure it's engaged, happy, and letting the healing happen, which is why we're using the interventions. Okay. So you're back here, you're asking questions, your survival system, your subconscious mind is like, ah, finally, someone's listening to me. And your job here is not to get too involved, but to keep listening. It's like when you're having a it's like when you're having a discussion with your husband, right? And you hear them say things and you just want to like freak out and you're just triggered and you're like, okay, breathe. Don't react. Don't react. And that's really why you're using your intervention right now, because your survival system is the one that is actually wants to help you react. Because it says, oh no, he didn't. And then you say, oh no, he didn't. And then survival, reaction. So you're in here and you're starting to partner up with these things and you want to be as relaxed as possible. You want to be as open and receptive as possible. And you want to not get triggered because that's you get kicked back out of this process. So that's why you're using the intervention. I think you're hearing me say use your intervention. I mean it, use it. Um, okay, so and what I was just talking about by not reacting is while you're back here anywhere, even if you're at the front face value of the surface level of the symptom, where it's just right there, um, you really want to have one foot in the symptom and one foot out. And I call this the healing stance. If you're 2 feet in, you're on the ride. It is taking you for a ride. You're in. You can't see any layers of the symptom at all. It is flat and it is on you. And you are under that, right? But if you can, when you shift into curiosity, you're shifting into the part of the brain that has you one foot in and one foot out. And this is the healing stance. If things get too hot and you start dissociating or you start fleeing or you start, those sorts of out stuff, you're 2 feet out. This is not a healing stance. This is okay because you will live to fight another day. And I think it's a perfectly fine strategy, especially doing this work where we're going in and really going after the healing, and helping and getting in there and helping your brain do what it's really supposed to be doing and wanting to do. Um, I think I would prefer flee and get out than all the way in, just because all the way in can be re-traumatizing, and we don't want that. But I digress. I just went on a little mental trip there. But that one foot in, one foot out, being able to stay there gives you are in the seat of control. And that is one of the things you want to be doing the whole way. If you find that you are 2 feet in, you can take control at this point by doing any strategies that will give you one foot in, one foot out. Or if you're all the way in and you need to hop out, you can start using some strategies that will get you all the way out because that's okay. And so let's see. Gosh, we were talking about one foot in, one foot out. Yes, asking questions keeps you one foot in and one foot out as well. Those are some strategies. Using the interventions usually works excellently to keep you one foot in and one foot out. Um, and Yeah, so and then the other thing that you'll wanna do to really take control of this thing and get out ahead of the problem is get to the root of this. And, you know, you can really you wanna use your questions to, um, I think about a symptom of anxiety is like a big ball, right? and then we're pulling it out and we're looking behind it, right? And it's all these neural pathways are connected, and there's probably tons, right? We want to grab one and we want to follow and kind of, I think about this as surfing it, like, you get on it and you just surf it, but you're asking questions to take you deeper, and it'll split off, and your questions will take you down the avenues you want to go, and you're using your intervention the whole way so that this whole pathway gets cleared up and looked at by your healing process, your brain, and we'll really start smoothing it out. That's important, but not for this topic. Okay. But keep asking your questions till you get to the root. You can really ask origin questions. You can say, what's the root of this? And if you're good at listening to your subconscious mind, you will hear it tell you the exact answer. And if you ask and you can't get the right answer, it's just a matter of skill building or get some help with these questions. So yeah, get to the root. And like I said, when you get there and you're using your intervention, you're pulling your whole brain together to look at and resolve this issue. And by you can engage these parts of the brain by asking the questions and focusing. That activates and uses your prefrontal cortex. But asking the questions makes it kind of activates all parts of you to like right here, this thing right here is what we're talking about. Come on back, and they might try to go away and say, but I want to tell you more about it. I know we'll do that, but let's come back over here. And so you really can get them to stay right here to finish this. And like I said, when you resolve that, you resolve many symptoms. And so not only do you get to um, understand what's happening in your brain, take hold of it, take charge of it, take control of it, you really can do that, eliminate these symptoms, and really be the internal leader for your subconscious, your thinking center, your survival system, and your body. Your body's participating in all these symptoms as well. And it actually has a lot to say. I didn't even include that. I was like, you get back there, ask a question, and your subconscious, no, your body will also say, hey, what about this? And it'll flare up in different parts if you pay attention. And those really, all of that attention, paying attention skills is really essential for many things, mostly keeping you in a brain state that is actually part of the healing process and actually ignites and um, initiates the healing process. And then really the tools, those one of those four interventions really help the brain do what it does best by healing itself. So um, and that's and I wrote down another note, so I'm going to say it, but when you get to the root, ask questions about the root, and you'll know that you're at the root, because you'll start to have some really big ahas, like, oh, I know why this symptom's happening like this. I get it. And so once you start to have those things, sometimes you'll get to the root and you don't know, and that's because some of the root um, might be an association your brain has made with something outside of your awareness, like the temperature, right? There are people that have panic attacks because the temperature is very specific to when trauma happened, right? And so, even though logically they're like, what happened? Nothing happened. They don't realize that it was just the right temperature, and their brain processed that, and the brain picked it up, and the skin picked it up. And that's some of the stuff we're dealing with. But when you use this strategy, you can process even unconscious material like that just by um, I guess I wanna say, just by using the intervention so much, It's kinda like you're in there with a spray can and you're spraying healing juice over everything. If you're just spraying wildly, which I encourage in this case, especially in the beginning when you're building your skills, if you're just spraying wildly, you're gonna get some stuff. You're gonna spray some healing juice on just the right thing, and you're gonna watch symptoms fall away and just not come back and not show up again or show up much differently. And all of that is a win. And so that's what I wanted to share. I wanted to share that you can have control, that especially when you start to work with your brain, especially when you start to work and engage your survival system specifically. Um, that's really where the magic happens, and it can really happen quickly. So that's what I want to share. And if you want help with this, this is something I help people do in an intensive 8-week program, and where I teach you these strategies one after the other. I also teach you how to build in these skills in a very experiential and intensive way, so that you can feel what that feels like, and you can see in your inner world, and you can show me what you're seeing in your inner world, and we can figure out what that is and which part of the brain that's coming from, and really make sure that you're matched with the right interventions, and that you're actually getting symptom elimination, and you're doing the change. And so this program is for people who have already developed a moderate to high level of self-awareness, and have have really tried, who are committed to overcoming this and have tried themselves. The way I teach this is a very um, self-driven activity where you are in the driver's seat of your healing. I am in the passenger seat. but because you need to be able to drive your car. You need to be able to drive this thing. And so we start there immediately, and you build your skills, and we really eliminate one after another. And most people that go through my program have resolved the challenges they began with me within those 2 months. So if you want more information about that, you can go to my website at rachelmcleod.com, and you will learn more. And I mostly market to women, but if you've been following me, you know that I cannot turn down working with a man who's the right fit for this. And this really, marketing to women really has to do with my uh, I was going to say something with marketing. Not necessarily, and my business plan at the moment, not necessarily my business plan in the future. So I have already put some men through my program. I have not yet built a program for them yet, for you yet, but that is coming as more men want to move through this. So, but the women's program is up and running, and if this is the right fit for you, we can get you started right away at the right whenever you're ready. Okay. So, talk with you soon. Wonderful chatting with you, and see you next time. Bye.